Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Bhairava Baba, Jai Matara. Namaste, sir.
Jai Ma
Thank you
Kamakhya,
again.
Jai Bhairava Baba, Jai Matara.
Thank you again for joining us, sir.
Yeah,
In today's episode, it's more like a one-on-one. We have received a set of questions from our Telegram group and other groups in sadhakas. We'll ask you these questions, and if you can clarify, this is about the Bhairava sadhana, the
okay,
fundamental questions that people have as to how to do certain things and certain doubts around that.
right.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Yeah. So the first question that we have is switching from the Bhairava Nama mantra to the Batuka Moola mantra as to after how many malas or how many number of japas should we do that shift?
Okay, so this is a very basic and fundamental question. So once you're doing the Nama mantra, at least if you have finished 1000 malas of the Nama mantra, then you are eligible to, then you are good enough to shift to the Vatuka Moola mantra. Okay, if that inspires you, that is something you want to do. So you can shift after 1000 malas of the Vatuka Moola of the Bhairava Nama mantra. So once you start the Vatuka Moola mantra, Bhairava Nama mantra also continue, but in a reduced count. You don't need to do a lot of japa of it, but even if one mala you can do, that is good, because that mantra actually connects you to Bhairava Tattva, that connects you to guidance from Bhairava. That is like a, consider it like a bit of a guru mantra of Bhairava, something like that. So once you have a devotional contact with Bhairava, you look at him with a lot of faith, devotion, respect, shraddha, and just do the Nama mantra itself. He clears your path and shows you where you need to go. So after 1000 malas of the Vatuka of the Bhairava Nama mantra is completed, one may shift to the Vatuka Moola mantra. So that is the way to go about it.
Sure, sir. So another supplemental question that we have is, do we need a diksha to do this?
So there is, in my opinion, for the Vatuka Moola mantra, it is relatively safe to do the mantra. It doesn't require any elaborate diksha. So here it must be mentioned that when I think I've touched upon this topic on various places at various instances, but I'll repeat it once again. So when in Tantra the word diksha is used, you have to be very categorical. What type of diksha are you talking about? So in general, many places, what happens is that they do a very simplistic process of giving an upadesham. So somebody comes there, the guru sits, sometimes there's a group of 5, 10, 15 people, and the guru will just close their eyes and say the mantra out. So that is basically an upadesham. Okay, so this type of diksha, so when you are hearing with faith, if you have done the 1000 malas of the Nama mantra and then you start doing the Vatuka Moola mantra, and suppose even if you have just picked it up from a from some other source or something like that, so you are good enough to go along chanting that. You don't need to have any other diksha. Whereas in tantras there is another, the actual diksha process, which is very highly regarded in tantras. Those come into play. They do come into play, yes, when you are doing very complicated sadhanas, when you are doing Mahavidya complicated prayogas and sadhanas that are required, and that diksha is not a 5 minutes, 10 minutes thing that can take hours, okay, or sometimes a whole day, sometimes that diksha itself. So that requires various things, mantra japa, homa, this, that, etc. Multiple processes have to be completed and then it is done. But in my opinion, let it be very clear in the minds of people that if you have done the 1000 malas of the Nama mantra and then you shift to the Vatuka Moola mantra, you do not need a separate diksha for it. It is a very, very safe mantra to do. There is no problem at all in doing the mantra with reverence and faith. It will only bring you good results. The mantra itself is not going to cause you any distortion, any kind of harm, any kind of problems. It is one of the best mantras in Kali Yuga, in my opinion. The Vatuka, Moola mantra. And here, let me say that there are two variations of the Moola mantra. One is that the variation that we get from the Rudrayamal Tantra, and one the variation that comes to us from later tantras. In the Rudrayamal Tantra, it starts with the pranava. So it is, everybody has to do the pranava if they have to do that mantra. Whereas the one that comes to us from texts like the Brihat Tantra Shard, that is about 15th century text. So there, instead of the Ye mantra, what we find is basically that the mantra becomes, instead of the pranava, it becomes the tantric pranava. Okay, so this change actually, it doesn't affect the efficacy of the mantra one bit. I have seen whenever both of them are chanted or one of the others of the chanted, the end result is more or less the same. It's not too different at all. So one can pick up either of the two versions. One can pick up the version that starts with Om, or one may pick up the version that starts with Rim, which is the tantric equivalent of the Om. Both of them produce the same results, and it's perfectly safe to do.
For somebody who has been practicing the Batuka Bhairava Brahma Kavach, if
Hmm.
they are doing Moola Mantra as part of it, can they continue that?
Yes. So if you're doing the Vatuka Bhairava Brahma Kavacham, and there's the Moola Mantra part of it, you can definitely chant that. There's no problem in it. In fact, it makes the Kavacham more potent, because that is a part anga of the Kavacha. So it is fine to do that. And in fact, I would mention that the Vatuka Brahma Kavacha is such a powerful thing that if you, in terms of hundreds of difficulties, if very consistent and dedicated sadhana or upasana of that Kavacham itself is done along with the Moola Mantra without tampering anything, that produces a very strong protection for the Upasaka. So yes, there is no harm at all in doing the Moola Mantra that comes in part of the Kavacham.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. So the next one is about using malas. So the question is, can we use the same mala that we use for Bhairava Japa in general for Batuka as well?
Yes, there is no problem in using the same mala. There's absolutely fine to do that. In some cases of prayogas, one may have separate malas, but let's not complicate things. It's perfectly okay to use the same mantra, same mala for the all Bhairava mantras.
Sure, sure. And the next one is regarding the photos, sir. Do you have a recommended version that we can all use safely? And would you recommend people using a Vigraha of Batuka as well?
Okay. So here we need to understand one thing, that mm for the sake of, when you are keeping a photo, there are many photos on the internet these days. Many of them are generated by artificial intelligence and various other things, etc. The safest and the easiest way is that you pick up a photo of a standard Vatuka Bhairava that comes in. That is the photo of a child form of the deity, along with that's very popular. I mean, it may not be aesthetically very excellent, but that's good enough. Or you pick up a photo from the Vatuka Bhairava, any Vatuka Bhairava temple. If they have a very aesthetically good photo, you can pick that up and use it. So prefer using these photos than any kind of obscure and weird photos whose energy you are not sure of. This is number one. Number two is, so far as vigrahas are concerned, I personally do not recommend Vigrahas for most people, because Vigraha requires a lot of seva. Vigraha, it's mostly what people do is that they pick up Vigrahas, and they, they pick up Vigrahas, and then they keep those Vigrahas, um, and they do not do the amount of seva that is required for the Vigraha. So Vigraha is a different spiritual science in itself. Okay. If you have a vigraha, then you have to be sure what is the composition of the vigraha, the height of the vigraha, whether there is a prana pratishtha that has been done on the vigraha, then what type of sevas a vigraha requires. That is very important. So if you keep a vigraha that is, the larger the vigraha that you will keep, it will demand more sevas. If you are not doing the sevas, and if you are just keeping those vigrahas there, then it is going to cause some interference with your mental state, or how would I put it, um, it will cause disturbance with your uh, stability of your sadhana. And also at times, may for people who have certain graha combinations, weak graha combinations, it may cause various kinds of other disturbances also. Basically, the positive aspects of sadhana that we look at will reduce, and some kind of weird interferences will start in your life. That is the problem with vigrahas, unless you are very sure that you can do seva of the vigraha. The reason we do sevas of vigrahas, seva means, see, depending on the vigraha, for example, if a vigraha is now, we are also working towards making of the Ashtabhairava temple. So I had to speak to a lot of people, Shilpakars and all that, who know how to make the Vigrahas and all that. So the moment a Vigraha goes above 3 feet, 2 feet or 3 feet, something like that, the amount of seva that is required is very huge. That you have to have professional priests involved in it. Now, if you keep a Vigraha that is small, most people, when they say they, something like a 6 inch or 7 inch Vigraha, even that will require some amount of seva, because as you do, vigraha is a responsibility. So you do nitya seva of the vigraha, then you carry the vigraha along with you when you are going, or at least there is somebody who takes care of the vigraha. It's like having another family member in your house. Can you do proper seva of the Vigraha? Then yes. If you cannot do proper seva of the Vigraha, uh, maybe it's better to avoid having Vigrahas. If you have the mantram, if you have the photo, it serves the same purpose.
Okay, sir. And talking of sevas, do we need to do a separate Panchopachar seva of Batuka versus if we are already doing one for Bhairava?
So depends. If you are doing a Bhairava, if you're doing a Vatuka Upasana, where Vatuka is the primary form. So here is the other thing that I will mention, that when you are doing Vatuka Anushtan, Mantra Anushtan, you have to place Vatuka as the primary god at that time. Okay. So everything else that you're doing, you can reduce those, and until the completion of this, you keep the Vatuka Upasana as your primary Upasana. You spend more time in it, concentration, dedication, etc. So few things are important for Vatuka Upasana. One is that you have to provide Naivedyam to Vatuka. That is very important. Number one. Number two, the moment you are putting Vatuka in the primary position and you are doing the sadhana, Panchopachara has to be separate for Vatuka Bhairava. It cannot be one generic Panchopachara. Okay. Even if you do the very simplest of the Panchopachara using your fingers, and instead of actual offerings, you are doing it in the the manasik way that is there. Even that also is fine, but it has to be separate for Vatuka. And it is very good to offer Naivedyam to Vatuka whenever you are doing his sadhana, especially when you are doing his Anushtanam. That is the key part. And suppose, just for the completion, coming back to the last question again, suppose somebody has a Vigraha Bhairava Vatuka, you will have to do Seva of the Vigraha in terms of Abhishekam of the Vigraha. That is very important. Vigraha Puja means Abhishekam of the Vigraha is very key in order to handle the power of the Vigraha, in order to ground the power of the Vigraha so that it does not cause any interference or negative disturbance to the individual, like that. Okay. So that is the key thing with respect to Vigrahas. Abhishekam, yes, if you are capable, if you're that responsible, if you know how to do, and if you sort of take care of the Vigraha properly, and if you are doing Abhishekam of the Vigraha regularly, even if the Vigraha does not have initial Pran Pratishtha, if you do for 2 to 3 years or even 1 year, every day you keep doing Abhishekam of the Vigraha at least twice a day, the Vigraha itself will start gathering power of the deity, and it will be very palpable to the Upasaka. Okay. So, yes, if you keep Vigrahas, then it is not just for providing just a Naivedyam and one Dhoop and Diya. No, you have to do the Abhishekam of the Vigraha. Then only the Vigraha becomes meaningful. That is how the Seva is to be done. And because Nitya Abhishekam is very tough for most people with office and other aspects of life, so therefore my recommendation is always that stick to photos. Only keep Vigrahas that you know that you can spend time and do Sevas like that. Or at least if you are not there, somebody else can do the Seva.
Right, right, sir. And talking of Naivedyams, is there a specific recommendation on what is the bhog that Batuka likes the most?
Uh, so generally there is the the offerings of urad dal, anything made of urad dal, but without salt. Okay, urad dal vadas, but without salt. That is very good to offer to Vatuka. Sweets that are red in color, like gulab jamun and all that. Then sweets that are there is a particular kind of jalebi kind of sweet called amriti. Those are also very good. Offering of curd is very good. Offering of good is also very good to Vatuka Bhairava. Okay. Apart from that, you may also offer dry fruits. So there is a whole list of things. If you keep offering a mixture of dry fruits and all that with some bit of raisins and dates as well as the normal dry fruits regularly, that is also a very good Naivedya to offer to Vatuka Bhairava, and it produces a very interesting result. The Upasaka will himself or herself experience it if you keep doing this for 40 days continuously. Apart from that, people who consume non-vegetarian food, they can offer non-vegetarian naivedyams to Vatuka. It's perfectly acceptable. But remember that when you are, again, this is a point that I mentioned in many other things. So whenever you are cooking something for the deity, acha, these are naivedyams that I mentioned that he likes. But apart from that also, if you are cooking anything at home, you can offer to the deity. There is no problem in it. Okay, but remember that if you are cooking something, there are certain niyamas, acharams that have to be followed while doing that. So you're cooking, like when you're cooking, your utensils should be completely separate from the normal utensils that you use. Then after cooking, you keep it in a separate plate, which is only dedicated for offering to Bhairava. You do not use that for anything else. Sorry. So like this, you need to have the right setup for offering of naivedyam. Same thing if you're offering if you're offering any kind of fish is very good to offer. Mutton is very good to offer. I mean, these are offered even in the Vatuk Bhairava temple in Kashi and many other temples, by the way. It's perfectly all right to offer for people who consume these things. So the idea is that you offer to the gods that thing which you like best, or you offer you if a revered guest comes to your house, the kind of food that you will prepare, that is the thing that you can offer to the gods. Okay, so that is the basic idea. So here also, if you're making these offerings, you have to ensure that there are separate utensils for cooking these. Acha. Number two, the traditional way of cooking requires that when you're cooking non-veg for the deities, then you try to avoid using of garlic and onion. Okay, that is the traditional way of doing it. Uh, Number two, plus along with that, you can offer rice or rice-based items, etc. So there's a wide range of things that you can offer. But if you don't want to complicate too much, you can just offer sweets. That's good enough. Or you can offer some fruits. Dry fruits are very good. Sweets are very good. These are like, you can close your eyes and go ahead with offering these two. There is no problem in that. Okay. So that's all about naivedyams. But remember that the important thing is that how you are making this naivedyam. If you're cooking something, it's good that if you can cook it, if you have to keep the vessels separate, and then while you're cooking, you can also keep chanting the mantra, or at least telling the deity that, okay, Vatuka, that I'm preparing this for you. All these things count in the sadhana, and they show your seriousness and your shraddha and faith on the deity.
Right, right, sir.
Yeah.
On the same note, there is also a question on offering Karan to Batuka. Can everyone offer Karan, or is there some restriction and stages in that?
No, this is the one thing you should not go into until you are explicitly instructed by somebody to do it. You have a mentor, a guru who can teach you how to offer Karan to a deity, uh, because there are certain ways in which the Karan has to be purified. It is not just buying something and giving it. If you know the purification process, before you knowing the purification process, you need to have some kind of an initiation from somebody who can proper tantric initiation, not just upadesham. There's a difference between the two, and then you are taught how to purify the Karan, and then you offer it. So this is not something that people should be doing randomly. If you want to offer Karan, you go to the temple and offer it. There's no problem in it. You can go to the Kala Bhairava temple, you can go to the Vatuka Bhairava temple, and you can, buy a bottle of alcohol and just offer it there. That's perfectly all right. But at home, if you do, there are certain cautions. First of all, you need to know how to do that, and that is the one knowledge that, in my opinion, should only be done if there is a recommendation from the Guru. If your Guru has explicitly told you and explained to you, or in a very rare instance, it's possible that the deity may come and ask for it. That is only when you have gone very, very deep in the sadhana. Okay, it is possible the deity may come and ask for it. I know of instances that has happened. In that case, you will have to offer. Okay, so you don't have a choice. So this is the basic idea. Otherwise, avoid offering Karan. Better if you want to do that as an anukalpa, as a substitute for that, offer coconut water, or offer water that is sweetened with gur, jaggery. Okay, like that, not sugar. Sugar should be completely avoided. Processed sugar is absolutely to be avoided, but jaggery is fine. Jaggery put into water and can be offered to Vatuka, or coconut water. These are substitutes for actual Karan or alcohol. See, the word Karan means it is not just buying something and offering, but transforming it through mantras into a substance that transforms your consciousness. So you remove the doshas, the curses in the Karan, in the alcohol, and then make it pure, so that it is both acceptable to the deities and it becomes a prasadam. That is the whole purpose of, or the method of doing this.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. And the next one is about diyas.
Okay.
So when we light diyas, is there a specific recommendation on, do we use mustard oil, do we use sesame oil, or is there something specific that you would say?
No. So both of them are fine. Mustard oil or sesame oil, both of them are fine. It doesn't make much of a difference. Or you may even use certain oils like the chameli ka tel, which produces a very nice fragrance. That is, so you have to understand the purpose of why you are using that. If you are using mustard oil, it is extremely good to remove doshas related to Rahu. If you are using til oil, okay, til ka tel jo hai, that if you're using that, it reduces to a degree, not fully, uh, problems related to Saturn. Okay. Now, if you're using an oil, chameli ka tel, which is sort of very nice, if you buy a good one in the market and you use that for your diya and it produces a very nice smell, then it is extremely good for your mantra sadhana. So it brings about, kind of depth in your sadhana. Normally, the smell of chameli is something that is liked by many of the deities, including Bhairava. Uh, However, a caveat has to be introduced here, that while I say that chameli is something that is generally liked by deities, at times as you keep doing more sadhana, the deity may tell you that what he or she wants you to give. And there will be indications, whether it comes in a dream or somebody else comes and tells you something, you will have a very clear indication from the deity only after, not initially, after or when he decides. It's not based on your decision. If he wants you to offer something, he'll let you know. And finally, it's not just the oil. Ghee is also a very good diya to make in terms of Vatuka, not just Vatuka, any form of deity. So when you have a ghee diya, it produces spiritual progress. Okay, ghee, primary objective of having a cow ghee diya, cow ghee it has to be, it cannot be ghee made from buffalo milk and all that. That is for prayogas, a negative type of prayogas, for maran and all that prayogas. You will need to have diyas made from buffalo milk, but we are not going into that. For cow milk, ghee made from cow milk, the diyas, those help in very clean, very excellent spiritual progress, to the extent that one may have even mantra chaitanya, awakening of the mantra is possible in theory when those ghee diyas are used.
Right, right, sir. And the next one is about Visheshadnas and Nitya with respect to the diyas. So,
Okay.
is it okay to use the same diya from Nitya to Visheshadna, or do we need to start fresh?
No, so Vishesh Sadhana is a completely separate thing, in which is what we do is that we do with the basic manasik sankalpa, we do with the sankalpa or aim for the protection of Dharma and Desha. So it needs a separate diya. It should not be the same diya that is being used in the Vishesh Sadhana.
Okay, okay, sir. And the last one that we have for today is it
Yeah.
okay to ask for material benefits as part of a sadhana?
See, the thing is, there are two aspects. You have to understand two things in this. One is that if you are suffering from some kind of material problem, it is already there in your mind. So the moment you are sitting for the sadhana, the deity is aware of it. Okay, so they are not. They bother less with what you say verbally, with more with what you have in your heart and your mind inside you. Okay, so that aspect is there. In my opinion, uh, it is perfectly valid and all right to pray for any kind of dharmic material desires. Remember that you should not ask for something that is absurd, something that is negative or wrong, but if it is within the bounds of dharma, if it is bound of common sense, rationality and logic, there is no harm in praying for it. You can always pray, like you are doing a sadhana, and then you can pray that, okay, I am having this problem, etc. Could you help me, like that? Your job is to pray. Whether the prayer is accepted or not, it is for the deity, for Vatuka Bhairava to decide. He may or may not give you. It is his domain to finally choose or decide that if you deserve it or not. And his judgment is different from human judgment. Human judgment will, every human being thinks that they deserve everything. But the deities have their own judgment. They see the chain of karma that is coming. Why is this situation? What have you done in past lives, etc.? Do you deserve something better than this? So, taking all these things together, nature as well as deities, they give you the optimum result, which is the junction point between the effects of your own karmas plus your own desires. So you will not have all your desires fulfilled, but at the same time you have your karma. So it's like a car that is going, the accelerator is also there, which is your desire that you want to go forward, whereas the brake is also there, which is your karmic repercussion. So nature balances the two and gives you what is the best possible thing in your circumstance. So that is why one of the philosophical ideas and a very good viewpoint in sadhana is, if somebody can believe that ki jo bhi mere sath ho raha, whatever is happening with me right now is the best possible thing. And this is a philosophy, if you can imbibe it, not just verbally say, if you actually believe in it, then from inside the striving will go, that I want this, mujhe ye chahiye wo chahiye nahi, khatam ho jata hai, because you know that there is a power much higher than you, and it has decided that this is the best thing that is happening for you. because maybe you might have done various other things in your past which you don't remember, and it's a kindness of nature that we don't remember our past, because then life will be almost impossible for an ordinary person. You'll be constantly afraid, you'll be constantly fighting. As it is, humans are highly insecure as a species. Okay. So uh, taking these things together, I think that it is perfectly all right to pray for something, but remember that whether just because you pray, it may or may not happen. It depends on the deity. It is his, he is the judge. So Vatuka Bhairava is the judge. He will decide if you get it or not get it. Having said that, I have seen cases where Vatuka Bhairava, if he is pleased with somebody, if Vatuka Bhairava is really pleased, if you can please him, and there are certain things on, it's not only about mantra sadhana, but connecting to him in the right manner. If he's pleased, he can give you things which you cannot even imagine, which perhaps is not there even in the horoscope. That also he can bring to an individual. Okay, and that's rare, but it's possible. Remember, it's rare. So don't imagine that's going to happen every day. But I've seen that happening. And yes, Vatuka is a deity who can give you anything if he is pleased. So this is the first aspect of the answer. The second aspect of the answer is that whether one can do a sankalpa and sadhana, which means that I take a sankalpa that I'm going to do the Vatuka sadhana so that XYZ result comes in. In here, I can neither say yes nor no. It depends on the, because each individual is different. Remember that the moment you take a sankalpa for a particular thing, the stakes are very high, obstacles will come. You have to judge whether that specific thing that you want, the karmic blockage that is stopping it, obviously you can't get everything you want because there is some karmic blockage, right? If karmic blockage was not there, then whatever thought you will have in your mind immediately will manifest, because there's all karmas have been paid for. There's nothing to, kuch baki nahi hai, because there are obstacles. Now question is, you take a sankalpa, you want to do it, uh, that intervening karma that was stopping you, where is that karma going to go? So it is going to intensify and come to you. Do you have the stomach to take it? So you take a sankalpa, it should not be that 5 days later that suddenly you can go neither forward nor backward, stuck in the middle. That judgment has to be an individual's. So that is why I say that better to just worship and pray. Sankalpa is only when you have a mentor and the mentor tells you that yes, okay, it is good for you to take this sankalpa, then only. Otherwise, each case is different. There's no one rule that can be made.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. And with that, we are coming towards the end of this episode. If you have some closing thoughts that you would like to share.
Yeah, uh, this I will tell you that in my experience, and I've been worshipping Vatuka Bhairava for a long time. I mean, I worship multiple forms of Bhairava. Vatuka is one of the most uh, beautiful deities in this Kali Yuga. And in times to come, I myself have seen in the last 30 years, the Vatuka, there are two, three deities whose upasana has kind of, suddenly there's an upsurge of these deities everywhere. And Vatuka is one of them. The reason being that Vatuka Bhairava is perfectly safe to worship. Only thing is that, and that's there with all deities, do not try to be over smart. Do not try to trick deities or play, this kind of things. There are people who do that. So you have to be very clear to Vatuka, you have to be very honest to him, especially with Bhairava. Bhairava is a deity of truth. You got to be very honest to him. You don't need to confess to the world. Like when you sit in front of Vatuka, you tell him what is your flaws, what is good, bad, everything. Okay. So there are people who, even if they make mistakes, they'll be always defensive. So that doesn't work as a strategy with the deities, because they are not coming to argue with you. They already know you inside out. They know you better than you know yourself. So there's no point telling that, okay, मैंने कभी गलती किया ही नहीं, ऐसा नहीं. You speak to them, you make Vatuka a part of your life, and you give him the importance. And this is very important, because if you are doing multiple deity upasana and little bit Vatuka, then Vatuka is not going to respond that much to you. You have to, the moment when you are doing the main Vatuka Anushtan, he has to be the primary form at that time, till the end of the Anushtan at least. Then only you will see the positive impact that he can bring in a person's life. And he is very, very good for protecting an Upasaka from hundreds of problems. Either he himself will protect, or if there is a very complicated matter, for example, there are certain almost 99% things Vatuka Bhairava is good enough. Only in some matters, like there are some very intense Abhichar related things, where Vatuka Bhairava will guide you to what needs to be done for that, which deity to be worshipped, what to be done, that also he will do. So that way Vatuka has a very strong Guru Tattva in him. Remember, He manifests very easily as a guru. But like all deities, eventually, the success of sadhana depends on whether it generates the positive qualities of detachment, of equanimity, of lessening of the lower chakras, okay, competitiveness, negativity, jealousy, anger, these things. And remember, anger is here, it must be said that anger is there's a divine anger that is there in deities like Bhairava, Chandi, etc. That's very different from the normal human anger. So that's a righteous anger, which means that if something wrong is happening, then they get angry, but they don't hold on to a grudge permanently. Holding on to grudge is an entirely human business. Okay, so we keep angry, we get angry, and then we hold on to it for a long time, and there's an exchange that goes on infinitely. All that is human business. When the deities get angry, they'll be angry at a shot, and then they'll be again calmed down. They don't hold any specific grudges against anybody. It doesn't work that way. So remember that Vatuka Upasana is one of the best upasanas to do. And if you have been doing the Vatuka Moola Mantra, try to do one Anushthan of Vatuka properly, fully with Sankalpa. Sankalpa means for Devata Priti, not for any specific Kamya, for Prayoga or desire or anything. No. Just do for the pleasure of Vatuka Bhairava. Devata Priti, finish the Vatuka Anushthan. If possible, do homas. If you cannot do homas, then feed little children, little boys, okay, or feed in a Veda patashala. Try to be present there when the feeding is done. That makes a lot of difference. If you can yourself serve the food, that is perfect, okay, and you yourself will see that what kind of positive developments or blessings Vatuka Bhairava can bring into your life. So with that, I think we can conclude it. Yeah.
Right, sir.
So
Right, sir. On that note, thank you so much for your time. And until we meet you the next time around, Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Bhairava, Jai Matara.
yeah, Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Bhairava Baba, Jai Matara.